Most Tuesdays are just Tuesdays, except at Buffalo Wild Wings, where Tuesdays are Wing Tuesdays. But now even Wing Tuesdays aren't just Wing Tuesdays, because Wing Tuesdays are half-price Wing Tuesdays, which means your boring Tuesday that became Wing Tuesday now costs you half as much. In case you're confused, we have half-price Wing Tuesdays. We do it for you. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Prices and participation vary. See participating locations for details. Void where prohibited.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Source Material. I am your host, Jesse Starcher, and today on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, we hit part 2 of our series covering a 12-issue story arc published from Marvel in 2014, written and drawn by Kara Andrews, titled Iron Fist, The Living Weapon. Of course, the patriarch Mark Radulich and from the Screaming Boy podcast, Ronnie Adams, have stuck around. You will be able to tell that this second half got a little silly as the night went on, but wow, did we have fun. Don't forget to give the Radulich Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. You can find us at your convenience on blogtalkradio.com, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or iTunes. Just search Radulich to subscribe to the network that Source Material is a part of. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so by finding me at Stiznarkey. Also, the show's Twitter is at SourceMattCast. Okay, everyone, focus that chi, and let's get to it. All right, issues 7 through 12, Redemption. Now, we learn that because Kunlun has been destroyed, the chi that Danny uses to fuel the Iron Fist is gone, leaving him powerless. Fu and Sparrow nurse Danny back to health with a little aid of forbidden Kunlun technology. Let's stop right there. Did this come out of nowhere for you guys? The whole technology thing?
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, he explains it. He was like, it's not really technology so much as it is a brace. And if you try to punch with it, you're going to shatter your arm. No, sorry, if you use the Iron Fist power, you're going to shatter your arm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know that. When I thought of Kunlun, I thought it was all this paradise martial arts. You don't see those two usually brought together a whole lot. Technology and martial arts, especially with the mysticism and magic supposedly that surrounds those things. So when I was like reading this and they said, oh yeah, the forbidden technology of Kunlun, like it was some kind of underground thing. We don't touch it, but it's there. You know, they use this stuff to help Danny heal, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that took me by surprise. I didn't expect that to be a part of the story. But I thought it was neat. I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. All right, so anyway, we got the forbidden Kunlun technology, these braces, these fists that go on his arms to help compensate for the loss of chi.
As opposed to the fists that go on his feet?
Nice.
Sorry, my bad.
But before Danny Rand can truly heal, his next challenge is to confront the spirit of his dead mother. Now, you kind of touched on how she died, Mark. I wanted to also talk about that, where they were, his dad's like, hey, let's go on a trip. Danny's dad's like, let's go on a trip. We're going to go find the mystic city of Kunlun. Now, I don't know if he told his family we're just going to go hang out. But you can tell that in this story, soon as they realize that their life is in peril, Danny starts to realize that his dad is obsessed with finding this city of Kunlun. It wasn't just Danny, his mom, and his dad. Danny's dad also brought along his business partner, Harold. Okay. Now he's a pretty important.
Hey there, Harold.
Harold, you want to come with us? We're heading to Kunlun. All right, I'm on my way. So Harold joined them. Now there's an avalanche that strikes, and pretty much it causes the family to fall down some cliffs, pretty much. I mean, they're
all done messed up.
They're They're in trouble. But to quickly get back to Danny's mom, after they were able to get up out of death's grasp, Danny and his mom start walking pretty much. They start walking and they're not in good shape because Danny's dad has died. Danny he's about to lose his mom, because a pack of wolves show up. And
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
They proceed to, look, this is horrible. They eat his mom right before his eyes. He watches that happen. And luckily, some residents of Kunlun saved him.
I just want to say it's Ronnie's fault that I'm laughing. I was taking this seriously. And then Ronnie started laughing, then I started laughing.
Best joke tonight, devoured by a pack of wolves. That's wins the audience every time.
And that really shows where this show is going.
She sacrificed herself so Danny could get away. So in order to get right with your body, you've got to get right with your mind as well. So the big part of the healing process is Fu sends him to go, I don't want to say confront, but basically he wants Danny to come to reconcile with his mom. Because, that there's still that bit that's kind of hanging over him about how she died. With that done, Danny, he goes, and there's a whole underworld scene where he goes and confronts his mom and they talk it out. They hug it out. Hug it out. Hug it out. With that done, Danny, Fu, and Sparrow head back to Earth to confront Davos and the One. So we're heading back through the gateway into Rand Tower. Now, there's a scene that very much resembles The Matrix. I don't know if you guys picked up on that or not, but man, in one of these issues, I can't remember which one it is, there is, the One's kind of hanging out there, and there are all these bodies like inside a bunch of pods. I assume this technology that Kunlun, this forbidden technology, is siphoning the chi from these people, this force from these people. Now, as Danny's kind of getting his bearings and trying to figure out what the hell's going on, Fu cuts this cord and throws it into Danny, infusing him with an overload of chi. So now all of a sudden, he's powering up. He's
getting over 9,000.
Over 9,000. And the battle's on now. It's the One versus Iron Fist. However, during that battle, it is soon shown that Iron Fist has been tricked. Oh man, it gets crazy here, folks. All right. Iron Fist has been tricked into committing an act that would breach the barriers of heaven and hell as the One intended to bring back Danny's mom. So, this thing that had Danny's dad's face clearly also had Danny's father's intentions as well. So he tricks Iron Fist into breaking this barrier, but instead of Danny's mom, this is the greatest name ever, out comes a deity, an elder god by the name of Zhu Rong. Zhu Rong. Zhu very, very wrong. Oh my goodness.
Hang on, I'm gonna ask Google how to pronounce this.
Please do.
That's Whistle Stop Jenkins.
The god of fire and heavenly executioner. His domain is the southern quarter of heaven where he rides a tiger and presides over universal order. Legend tells that he was so proud of helping to establish heaven and earth that the authority,
hence the smile,
who is Vince McMahon and Triple H, went straight to his head. Well, that's about right. Okay. When Gong Gong, no lie, Gong-Gong, came along boasting of supreme magnificence, it was more than his ego could bear. So, yeah,
he showed up on Earth and fought a building.
We're actually back to we've now decided on a pronunciation.
I'm not pronouncing it anymore to avoid any. I'm just calling him Whistle Stop Jenkins. That's what I'm calling him from here on out. This has lasted too long.
You are welcome, sir.
God of fire, Whistle Stop Jenkins. I love it.
All right. Okay. So Whistle Stop shows up, and we've got a fight on our hands.
Oh my gosh!
Now here's what's crazy.
Can we talk about the fact that Iron Fist turned into Optimus Prime? If we're gonna do that?
Yes. I mean, okay. I don't understand. Okay, he's like, I gotta fight this guy somehow.
I've gotta fight him somehow.
Somehow. And I don't know if it's Fu who suggests it, or maybe it's he figures it out himself. But apparently the Rand Tower is rife with all this chi siphoning energy, or excuse me, it's chi siphoning technology. So much so that Iron Fist, in a baffling, he's just like, I've got to somehow become large enough to fight this god. And what better way than to become a building? He somehow takes control of the Rand Tower, and we have a fight on our hands, much like what you would see in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's either that or it's Godzilla in some Godzilla movie, okay? So we get a fight. I mean, I don't know if I can do this fight justice because, old Whistle Stop's got a sword out and he's chopping buildings in half. Meanwhile, Danny Rand is floating in some blackness, a la, I don't know if he, I also was like doing Pacific Rim correlations here. Like, okay, is he moving his arm and that's how that's working? And I mean, I put way too much thought into the fact that Danny Rand's a fucking building. Okay. I should have just said, okay, stop. But it doesn't get, that isn't even the worst part. The worst part is the fact that they fight in this 11th issue. As some revelation occurs where he's like, if you just look at the second to last page of issue 11, okay? Danny Rand is hopping out of the building that he was piloting, I guess I would say. And meanwhile, Whistle Stop has his hand and he's like, I mean, he's straight up like destroying the skyline of this city. And Danny Rand is flying Iron Fist ablazing, and that's it. That's the end of the issue. There's no other panel that shows you the battle that ensues between tiny little Danny Rand and big old Whistle Stop. Okay? There's no explanation.
Here's how this ends. So he's got like this Nike pose going on as he's proceeding to jump out of the building. And he looks
I'm sharing it. You describe it. I'm sharing it. Go ahead.
He's about to deliver the Iron Fist to
you get the Iron Fist tonight, baby.
Oh my God.
Now, let me first, my first problem with, if you look at the angle of where he's about to punch, he's going to land that on the guy's forehead, which, as we all know, is the hardest part of the body and the worst place to punch. This is already going to end up bad. But anyway, the dead, they whisper to me one last time, but I am not, I'm bored fucking reading this. I am not with them yet. I am here. I am now. I choose life. I am a Republican. I am
what?
Alive. Sorry. He said I choose life. That's where my brain went.
Oh, gotcha.
Because they're like pro-life. Get it?
Yeah.
Politics. And the god of fire falls for what seems like an eternity. So right there, he says he punched him and he died.
Oh, he says it, but all you have is a pose and him just going out. He doesn't even connect. Well, I guess maybe he does, because there is a...
Okay, look closely at the picture.
By the Iron Fist.
Look closely at the picture.
Yes.
Okay, so that black thing in the right-hand corner, if you're looking at it, so it would be stage left. Jesus, Ronnie. The black shadowy figure is Whistle Stop.
Oh, show's off the rails. Oh my gosh.
Whistle Stop got punched dead in the noodle. And is falling over backwards like a tree. Now you turn the page, right? And okay, let's read here. When a sun explodes, its iron core scatters across the universe to form new stars and seed new planets, new life. The iron in our blood is made from star stuff. Well, that's well written. And we are simply another turn in the cycle of it all. And so I believe that imprint that's crashed on the ground there is good old Whistle Stop.
Okay. All right. Now I see what's going on. The way that this panel is, it's not a panel. It's like 10 panels in one, because it shows, Danny Iron Fist slowly going up there. I didn't catch that part on the right-hand side there of him falling over. So very good. Nice looking out there, Mark.
Good catch, Mark.
Yeah, you understood it a lot better than I did. I thought
did it better than the writer of this book.
Not for nothing, but I literally just put that together right now, because when I was reading it earlier today, I was like, I just want this to end. I don't give a fuck what's happening.
But people, as you can see here, if you're watching this live, you whistle stop and all that good jazz. Right there, here he goes. He's falling over here. There we go. Danny Rand has saved the day, and he's brought everything, the destruction of the city to an end. And we pick up in our next issue kind of where everything left off. He's pops out of this fire god completely naked. And
like you do.
It happens, It
happens.
It happens. The epilogue shows the end result of the side story of Pei. Remember the little monk girl that first let Danny know something was going on. Well, she becomes the new Iron Fist. Now, I'm not really going to get into whole that. It's something to do with a dragon and the egg popping open and then the dragon getting killed. And now I'm sure that's probably integral to the story. I mean, Mark, do you have anything about Pei becoming the new Iron Fist? Did that seem to stick out to you? Like, oh my goodness, look at that twist.
Whenever a show is doing poorly in the ratings, I usually add a baby.
Okay. Very good. Hey, we got to give something out there to add a baby to.
They named her Pork and Bean Johnson.
I'm going to stick with Pei on that. I'm going to stick with Pei.
Isn't that like a name of like a dish at fucking, fucking
Pork and Bean Johnson?
No.
Bullshit.
No, Pei.
All right, now we got to get back to Brenda. Okay, we have to get back to Brenda.
Okay.
Because this is our final issue. Just pretty much centers around Danny Rand and his new lover. Now, remember, she was brought in at the start of this tale. She's trying to find out about Danny's history, blah, blah, blah. Well, we kind of find out a little bit more about Brenda and where she came from. Now, remember when Danny and his family went on the search for Kunlun, Danny's dad brought along his business partner, Harold. Now, when the avalanche strikes during their expedition, it is shown that Harold had the chance to save Danny's father, who was hanging onto a cliff, much like Danny and his mom. What we find out is that instead of bringing him up, he actually drops the rope and kills Danny's dad. But this doesn't happen like unbeknownst to Danny and his mom. He does this like right in front of them, apparently, because when he throws a rope down to Danny and his mom, she's like, "How could you do this, Harold? What in the world do you know? I've watched you kill Danny's dad." Wish I knew Danny's dad's name. It'd make this thing a lot easier.
Are you sure it's not Panda Express?
Payway. Good old Payway Johnson.
All right. It's on Facebook now.
Payway Johnson.
Payway Johnson.
Hey,
there it
Pele.
is.
Hey, it's Pele.
Pele. All right. So she is very upset at the fact, and Harold's like, "What do you mean? I didn't do that. I didn't drop your husband to his death." She's like, "Well, no. I watched you do it. I don't want anything to do with you." Hence, that's where they split up. Okay. She's like, "I'm not going anywhere with you. Me and Danny are walking off this way." And of course, that's not the greatest idea, walking alone in the wilderness, whether the other guy killed your husband or not. Regardless, she is not having to do anything with Harold. Now, and that's where we get the greatest joke in source material history. My mom got ate by wolves, and I watched her die.
What is
Wow.
Why is this funny?
I just snorted.
Yeah, you did. That's the best joke in source material history. All right. So, we then, of course, starts the history of Danny in Kunlun as he gets rescued and brought into Kunlun, and he's able to, we know where that goes. But did you know Heather had her own problems with her mom as well? After becoming involved, no, she did not get eaten by wolves. We'll just go ahead and put that out there. But after her mom became involved with the man she worked for, she became pregnant. Her mom then went to the man and showed her his new daughter, and he fell in love and wanted to become a dad and become part of their lives. He would make sure to look after them just as soon as he got back from this business trip. That's right. The man who killed Danny's dad, Harold, is Brenda's father.
Dun, dun, dun.
But things don't get, hey, yeah, that's a twist.
What a twist.
What a twist. Now, when Harold comes back from the trip, he's a crippled man. Something's changed in him, and he didn't want anything to do with Brenda or her mom. And after that, her mom's life fell apart. And when Brenda watched this happen, then in a cruel twist of fate, Harold passes away. And 2 days later, so does Brenda's mom. But not before she made Brenda vow to take revenge on the man or the family that did this to her. So Brenda's sole purpose of hooking up with Danny was to kill him. But she had a change of heart, and instead she fell in love. She fell in love with Danny. I'm going to try and make sense of this because it gets crazy. She says that she falls in love with Danny, but she still decided that Danny needs to suffer.
Yeah, the implication is that chicks can't get the job done because they think with their vagina.
Okay.
Well,
all right. We've alienated
your letters to Mark Radulich.
We're going to alienate races. We're going to alienate genders on this show.
Oh, fuck that. I'm sticking up for women here. I think this writer, Ham Sandwich Anders, is bullshit. He's like, she couldn't finish her assassin job.
So this is your criticism. Okay.
It's like, I have this hatred. I grew up like a fucking orphan and all this other stuff, and I must kill. Oh, my vagina is wet. I forgot to mention.
Oh my God. What? Jesus.
Oh my gosh!
I may be crass, but I have a point. God damn it!
It's getting there. It's the fun.
Wow.
So wait a minute. Hang on. I bumped the ball. Someone want to debate me on this? Do you see it differently? I think it's ridiculous that they have this turn in here.
Well, I'll give you my best explanation as to what happened here in a few seconds. Okay. And I'm sort of in agreement with you, but I've still got to finish the story here because, you're all right. She decides that, well, it's not enough to kill Danny Rand, the man who, is responsible for my mother's suffering. Instead, she decided to make him fall in love with her, and then she was going to kill herself in front of Danny in order to make him suffer that much more. But if it wasn't for the fact that Danny Rand, with his super speed and iron fist, was able to catch the bullet before she could pull the trigger. And now, of course, that's to her dismay. She's upset. What am I going to do now? And she stomps off into the night. I totally glossed over the fact that they had like a 5-page fight, which was just ridiculous. Which
comes out of nowhere, by the way.
Because he's like, hey, I was thinking, why don't you come over and, I don't know, you can hang out at the house from here on out. Maybe, become a part of my life. All right, let's fight in the middle of a fucking restaurant. And let me go ahead and get this bit out because I'm going to forget about it. She pulled the trigger once on that gun. Now, you going to fucking tell me she didn't have like 12 more bullets? She could have got the job done. She could have sat there and killed herself pretty easily. Instead, she pulls the trigger once and then she cries about the fact that, what am I going to do? And then she walks off. Okay. Now, to get back to what you were saying, Mark. Okay. This feels like it comes out of left field. And here's what I think happened. Okay. And this is just me going, I have nothing to base this upon, but I can tell you right now that this story was standalone. Okay. Just imagine if instead of us reading the first 11 issues of this Living Weapon story, we had this one issue to start with. What I think happened is Ham Sandwich, he came up, he had an idea. He's like, I've got a great story. I want to introduce this character. I want to bring her in. And I honestly think that this would have been great if it wasn't for the fact that they built everything up. I think this story was written well before Living Weapon happened. And all the previous 11 issues was his way to try and legitimize? That's the word. Legitimize issue number 12. Because he wanted something, he felt he needed something to have a history of this guy. Oh, I got a great idea. Okay, here's this issue. Well, what are you going to, this is kind of out of nowhere. What do you want to do with it? I want to build all this backstory up to it. Let's tell a story about his origin. Let's bring in PP, and then we'll bring in, Whistle Stop, and then we'll have all this, and then our big final event will be this head-turning issue. Everybody will be like, what? Yeah, oh my gosh. We're going to talk about it. That's what happened is it ruined this 12th issue. All that stuff that came before it. I think this issue standalone would have been a great little bit of a story. Maybe one or two issues spread out. But regardless, Mark Radulich, what do you think of that theory? Sound?
Sure.
That's his way of not arguing with me, even though he wants to. Okay, Ronnie Adams?
Huh?
Yeah. All right.
Listen, I can't argue with you at all on that because
You got
one, I don't want to, and two, I don't have a freaking clue what happened in this book.
Okay.
And I know that sometimes I come off as the idiot or the guy always making
That's
fun.
how I always intro you when post edit.
But yeah, it's lucky for you. I actually listen to these shows. But I try to make a joke or whatever. I honestly, this whole thing had me so confused. It's one of those things where there was just too much going on. The art was the whole book, the book as a whole was just too busy.
Yeah.
And it was too, just like Mark said, this was to make the writer happy. This wasn't to make fans happy. And if this was somebody's introduction to Iron Fist, they will probably look at it and go, screw that. I'm not ever picking up another Iron Fist book. And that's a shame because he's a good character. He's got a lot of good qualities in the whole character to read about, and it's a lot of fun. There was some stuff where he and Doctor Strange were going back and forth during a battle, and I can't remember what book that was in, but he was cutting some jokes, and Doctor Strange was like, "Now Daniel," called him Daniel.
I remember you talking about this, yeah.
Maybe we should be more, I don't know, adult in our humor or something. I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. He can be a fun character. He can be he can be a more complex character. This was not a good introduction to him at all.
Okay.
Here's the one thing I'll say about the twist ending with the chick.
What a twist.
It felt totally unearned.
Absolutely.
I think that's a story for another day. And by doing it tacked on, it's like, it's like you watch a movie, take a drink. You watch a movie, they've been telling you this one story, and then there's a scene at the end of the movie that comes completely out of nowhere, wasn't set up in any real way, and you're just like, where did that come from? That's what it felt like, like the end of a bad horror movie or something. You're like, what? I didn't get the ending, because none of it was set off. You're just paying off. You're paying off like an imaginary story, basically. I think, like I said in the chat, I think there's a story to be told about Danny abandoning Kunlun and seeking vengeance and him paying the price. I think there's a great story to be told in sacrificing everything that was meaningful to you, losing it, and having to earn it back. You probably don't have to turn into a building and fight a Zord.
That was my first reaction was, did Rita Repulsa go up?
I remember reading this, and when I hit that spot, I was like,
"What the crap is happening?"
Go Power Rangers!
I've got to send this, guys. I mean, you guys. I don't know where you were at. I know, Mark, you just finished it. What was the last day or so? So I know I was a little bit ahead of where you guys were, and I was like, wait till these motherfuckers get here, because they're not going to know what the fuck's going on. But
that is honestly why I didn't finish it until today.
I can't blame you.
I mean, this Redemption, I was going to say, Redemption actually, I think, starts off well, and then it just goes completely off the fucking rails again. And then you get to the end of the book. Really, I got to the end where I was like, I don't even care what's happening anymore. At this point, this could turn into like, I'm so tired, I can't even make like a bad joke at this
point. we've laughed it all out, folks.
Yeah, I got all my sillies out. I'm running on empty. But my point is, like, when I get to the end of a story and I just don't care how it ends, I just want it to end. That's not a good sign of writing.
That's right.
It's not a sign of good writing, rather. But to get back to the original Brenda thing,
Brenda,
the Stella. There's a story to be told about sacrificing for the wrong reasons, losing it all, and having to earn back the moniker of hero. As Robert says, I'm kind of married to Winfrey, rather. Says that I'm kind of married to conventional storytelling. I'm married to what works. So, there's a reason why it's conventional. Yeah, it's safe. And yes, I'm certainly willing to accept alternatives to that. But again, alternative just for the sake of alternative. And this is where Robert and I do agree. As, safe just for the sake of safe, or conventional just for the sake of conventional, isn't meaningful. You have to handle all of these things well. And this felt like experimental just for the sake of being experimental. In any case, that's one story, though. The story of this girl who'd been done wrong and seeks vengeance against Danny was its whole separate story and needed to be treated as such, not as a sidebar to this mystical event that's happening. And just as an aside, I want to deal with the Man of Steel issue in this book. What's the Man of Steel issue?
It always comes back to the Man of Steel.
The Man of Steel issue is all of this wanton destruction and no one dies. That's what people complained about with Man of Steel, among other things, other than sad Superman. And I got no sense of scale in what was happening. You have a fire god chopping buildings in half.
That's the truth.
And everyone's just kind of like, well, another day in New York City. Oh, look, a 6-foot turtle. You know, Penn Station guy. You know, that's a Ninja Turtles joke. To end this rather long point, the Brenda thing could have been its own story.
Yes.
You know, they could have set her up, and if her plan really was to get him to fall in love with her, bring him to the point of sort of emotional no return, just complete total devotion to her. And have her then have a crisis of conscience where she doesn't want to die a murderer. So she knows that this isn't real for her, but it's real for him. And she needs to make him suffer, but she can't consciously live with herself killing him. So she commits suicide in front of him. That would have been a powerful story and one I would have been interested in reading. Even if you want to do the cheap ending of him saving the bullet from her. I don't even with the power of the Iron Fist, know how you fucking teleport between a gun, laid bare against your noodle. But whatevs.
He's the Iron Fist.
Even if somehow he can teleport in the matter of the gun and catch a bullet somehow and not shatter his hand again, there's still some dramatic tension to be had with, I hate you, Danny Rand. I hate you for not letting me kill myself and giving you your most mortal wound of all. That would have been a story worth telling. That would have been a story worth reading. Instead, you have a sudden everyone was kung fu fighting in the middle of a restaurant. And then she kind of tells him the story, but it's completely unearned. It's unemotional. I feel like there was more emotion in what I just told you than what you read in the comic.
It really was.
And I just came up with that off the cuff. This guy had how many months to work on this fucking story? And he was just like, and then the dogs came and then the cavalry came, but they were too late. It's just like he's just throwing things at the end of the book for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's one of the points I'm going to make to try and support what you're trying to say. How much time do you think that Danny and Brenda spent together?
Well, they fuck at the beginning of the first book.
Oh, God.
And then he goes through the telephone booth in the magic portal.
And let's not talk about, I think he gets it on with Sparrow as well. Shortly thereafter, after he gets his hands crushed, which that couldn't have been too pleasant. But I've never tried to do the hibbity dippy with broken hands. So.
I was gonna say, especially for Sparrow, Jesus.
But he ain't got no eyes. He ain't got no hands.
Oh my Lord.
I snorted again.
This is the point in the show. And I'm disappointed in myself because this is the point in the show where I'm like, no, too far.
Oh my! I'm going to start referring to you as Roddy the Moral High Ground, Adam.
Only on podcasts, though. Messenger, it's a different story.
You're like substitute Winfrey.
That never happened.
You're like substitute Winfrey. I feel like, we're all making terrible jokes and, just going off the rails, and you're all weirdos. Sam the Eagle over here.
But yeah,
the Eagle.
We don't get, there's nothing earned to make me think, oh yeah, these guys are in love. No.
Yeah.
He goes, he does it with her the first night, gets into it's big trouble in Little China, and then all of a sudden he falls through, he falls through the portal, and then he gets it on with his childhood friend, and he comes back and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, I'm thinking about letting you come on over, come on over and hang out at Rand Tower. We've been having a good time.
I can turn into a building.
Yeah, after me and Megatron destroyed the city, why don't you come over and let's get some fucking Chinese food?
That is why I think it's way out in left field. And the other thing is,
that's why.
The other thing is,
nothing to do with him being a building.
That aside,
that sounds like a great book, by the way. The Day I Was a Building. I'd fucking read that. The girders. My bones were girders. I felt them all walking inside me. It was like having 1,000 voices in my.
No.
Go on.
there are
Deathbed, the bed that eats people. This is 12 issues. They did 3 or 4 stories. I think they could have, if they would have went linear with this thing, I probably would have liked it a lot better.
They were just trying to stretch out or throw 3-4 stories into one story and try and get it all told so we could build up to that epic ending.
This was the Batman versus Superman of Marvel Comics.
You think so?
I'm serious, because how many storylines did they throw into that movie?
Okay.
What, 12 or 13?
Yeah.
You could find a story.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There is no discernible story in this because there were too many points being made. And it's just like Ham Sandwich Anders said, now that I've actually said it myself, I love it even more.
I wonder what else Ham Sandwich Anders has done, because I feel like we should devote an entire source material to this person.
I want on that show.
I'm going to look it up. Dude, I'm a moron. I almost looked up Ham Sandwich Anders.
Ham Sanders?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's the only point I had with that. There's no discernible story because there are two. It's like Ham Sandwich Anders went, I want this one, I want this one, I want this one, I want to write about this one, and I want to write about this one. So screw off. They're all mine.
Here's what he's written so far.
All right.
This is his bibliography. Wonderlanders, 1 and 2, artist only. Intrigue, 1 and 2, pencils only. Before the Fantastic Four, Ben Grimm and Logan, artist, 3-issue miniseries. I want to find something he's written.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're obviously finding where his chops have been chopped. We need to find something that, if this is his first story, I could maybe see that.
Oh no, I found the perfect one. Thundercats, Battle of the Planets, one-shot, writer and artist, DC Wildstorm 2003.
Okay, so he's been in the game for a little while. 2003, we're talking, that's 14.
Here's writer and artist 2001, Spider-Man's Tangled Web. Marvel Mangaverse, Spider-Man, writer and artist, one-shot 2002. Spider-Man Legend of the Spider-Clan, writer only, miniseries 2002. X-Men Unlimited 37, writer, cover artist, and penciler of some interior pages, 2002. That's really it. Oh, he's got films.
He's got films.
Yeah, baby. And boy, does he ever. Filmography. Films he has directed include Attitude, 2010. V is for Vagitus. The 8 ABCs.
Come on.
Dude, I'm not even mispronouncing that. That's what it says here.
I'm not even mispronouncing that.
V is for Vagitus in the ABCs of Death, 2012. Cabin Fever Patient Zero, 2014. And The Hunted, which is upcoming.
Cabin Fever Patient Zero. That says it all right there, because the first Cabin Fever was decent.
Oh, ew, yuck.
But, yeah, exactly. The others leave much to be desired.
Wow. Gentlemen, I think we're done.
I think we need to throw this Thundercats Battle of the Planets thing on the schedule somewhere.
Yeah.
Using technology given to them by their new allies, the Rygans, G-Force is sent on a mission to drive Spectra off yet another planet under siege by the luminous one, Thundera. Unbeknownst to the team, Thundera's own defenders, the Thundercats, are trying to achieve the same aims with little success. Can two teams succeed where one could not?
Oh, yeah, I'm sold. After reading this, I'm just ready to read something that he did with the Thundercats.
In 2003.
Oh, man. I mean, 14 years ago, this guy was writing stuff. And you could tell that he's definitely more comfortable being an artist, in my opinion. How they gave him, I don't know why they gave him this. But, hey, you know what? We have come a long way here on Source Material tonight. We have...
Have we really? Have we really?
An hour and a half. No, it's going on 2-something now. 2 hours of discussing 12 issues of Iron Fist, The Living Weapon. Kara Andrews, let's get out of here. It's late. It's 11:22. We've made it through Iron Fist, The Living Weapon. Any other burning desires to talk about Ronnie Adams first, about Iron Fist, The Living Weapon, 1 through 12?
It stinks.
All right.
It was one of those things where I've struggled to get through. Huh?
You know more about Iron Fist than you did going into it.
Ooh, do I?
Correct. You know the man can control a building. You know
Do I want to know that is my question. I know that don't trust anybody named Ham Sandwich Anders.
We'll drive it into the ground.
Yeah. it was a struggle to get through. It just wasn't good. And the fact that it's being talked about, the Thundercat, you look at the body of work that this writer has done. It's like they gave him one, okay, here's your shot. Well, you done screwed the pooch on that one, so no more. And it boggles my mind that he got 12 issues of Iron Fist. And it was just like, it's kind of like to take it back to wrestling. Well, this guy is doing nothing but, he's a curtain jerker. He's an opening act. So let's just throw him out there in the oddest gimmick possible. And that's kind of what they did with this. They were like, let's do something with somebody we haven't really had a major storyline with. Let's give him Iron Fist, somebody that not a lot of people know about. And boy, did he pull a Vince Russo on it and just kind of ruined it. It was a mess. It was a big old dumpster fire of a comic book series.
They didn't give him the championship, which is good to see. And they didn't turn him loose on something big, to give him Iron Fist and take a character that's kind of pretty much unknown. I mean, obviously he's got his own Netflix series coming up. That's things are going to change. But, back then, 4 years ago, Iron Fist was kind of under the radar, in my opinion. I don't think a whole lot of people were talking about him. So, yeah, at least we could say Marvel didn't shoot this guy to the top and give him the reins to somebody big and say, okay, here you go.
Thundercats Battle Planet's 2003 one-shot, Portal of Doom, written by Kerr Kyle Andrews, penciler Kerr Kyle Andrews, and inkers Kerr Kyle Andrews. Rating on comicbookdatabase.com is 6 out of 10 with 1 vote.
Oh, wow.
And that was himself. I could do better. I know I could do better.
Have you all ever heard of The Room by Tommy Wiseau?
Oh, Comer talks about it very
I've
much.
never watched
This feels like he feels like he's the Tommy Wiseau or whatever you say his name of comic books.
Give this guy such a hard time. We've ruined his name. we shat all over his 12-issue epic arc that he done with Iron Fist.
I didn't say he was the Uwe Boll of
okay, you didn't
books.
go that far. Yeah.
He's one step above Uwe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Source Materials coverage of Iron Fist, the Living Weapon. And
Has it?
No. Mark Radulich, let's go ahead. We'll hit plugs here, and then we'll let Ronnie get his plugs in, and then we'll get out of here. What do you got to say, man? What's upcoming on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network?
So if you're hearing this show as it airs on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network, last week, Robert Winfrey and I reviewed Kong Skull Island, the best movie of 2017
Oh
so
my
far.
gosh, that movie was just incredible.
How good is Kong?
Oh my gosh, I saw it again today.
Oh, you lucky stiff you.
Well, a friend of mine said, "Hey, meet me at the movies at 1:30 or whatever, and we'll go see Kong." I was like, "Great, I've already seen it, but I'll go again, whatever." And he said, "Hey, your ticket's waiting for you. I've already paid for it." So not only did I get to see it
for free,
but I got to see it for free.
You are living the American dream, white man. The Metal Hammer of Doom reviewed Darkest Hour, the name of the stupid album, Godless Prophets, and The Migrant Flora.
Wow, that's
I don't understand the correlation of the two.
That's poetic, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's death metal stuff. Sean Comer and I put Zack and Miri Make a Porno on trial. This week on the Radulich in Broadcasting Network,
I'm Mark.
I'm Mark. Damn You Hollywood reviews Beauty and the Beast, the first $1 billion of the year, and yet another win for Disney. On the Metal Hammer of Doom, we'll be reviewing Obituary, self-titled Obituary. And finally, taking it all back around again, coming full circle, TV Party Tonight, White Privilege, brought to you by Marvel and Netflix.
I want you to put that on there so bad.
Iron Fist, White Privilege.
AKA White Privilege. White Kung Fu Privilege. Got it.
Let's call him White Fist.
I bring the power of the White Fist that I got from the Catskills.
We, Screaming Boy podcast, we just recently released our thoughts on the movie Logan, and we talked about some superheroes that we have lost in the year 2016 and are probably not getting back.
Like White Hulk.
Like
That's
Bruce
true.
Banner.
AKA White Hulk.
No, he will not be AKA.
Yes, I was in on that show. That was a good show. I had a lot of fun.
It was a good show. It really was.
Was there anything else? You got anything in the can or anything?
Nothing in the can because I accidentally just released that now as we were going through this show because for some reason it didn't release when I had it scheduled for earlier this week. Yesterday. So I was trying to figure out why. And in my figuring it out, I actually accidentally released it like 5 minutes ago. So there is that. We will be talking about revisiting kaiju movies here on the Screaming Boy podcast, or not here, but on Screaming Boy podcast. It's kaiju. If you're not familiar with the term, it is big monsters, basically. We're talking Godzilla, King Kong, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard it both ways. So we'll be revisiting that because it seems that big monsters are making a comeback now. With when did Godzilla come out? That was in 2014.
Yeah, I want to say
correct.
14, and so we've got that. We've got the new Kong Skull Island, which once again we've said is just absolutely incredible. Like no joke, just a phenomenal movie. You know, I can't praise it enough. John C. Reilly was just absolutely brilliant in it. Yeah, we will be talking about that here in this week coming up.
Very cool. All right. As for myself, it was last week on. I don't know what day it is. I can tell you the episode previous to this, you can hear me and a couple other local podcasters talk at the brick and mortar comic shop, Asylum Comics. You can. Well,
can you hear them?
You listen closely. You'll be able to make it out. We talked at Asylum Comics down here in Marietta, Ohio. It was me representing Source Material and Radulich and Broadcasting, or as they call it, the Radishes and Broccoli Network. Sorry, Mark.
I've been called worse.
And it was me. It was Remington Hitchcock of the Dueling Ogres podcast. And, of course, the guys from Kapow, consisting of Cliff, Jordan, Michael K. Easton, and the Grand Poobah himself, Seth. We all sat down. We were live in front of all the customers there at Asylum. They stayed open late. We had in attendance watching us talk was actually a writer for DC, a guy by the name of James Patrick. Yeah, it was pretty neat. And we had a customer sat down and talked to us for a little while. They stepped up to the mic. If you get a chance, go back, check that out, and give some love to my buddies over there on Dueling Ogres and the Kapow podcast. Other than that, just make sure to give the Radulich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like. We stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. Well, Source Material also has a Facebook page. Go give that a like as well. And other than that, I think
we've got all that stuff too.
Yep.
Oh, hey, real quick. Seriously, I keep forgetting to do this, and I want to see if this improves at all. If you haven't signed up, if you haven't subscribed to the Radulich and Broadcasting Network through iTunes, and that is your podcasting app of choice, because who doesn't have an iPhone, right? Go ahead and do that. We're like every other podcast in this world. We're on iTunes too. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get all the content as it's available without having to go this way and that way. Because I know getting on Blog Talk Radio might be a pain in the ass for people. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I listen to podcasts on my phone. So go ahead and subscribe. Just type in Radulich, Radulich, and boom, you're there. But if you're one of those weirdos who uses Stitcher or something else, we're there too. But,
yeah, we don't alienate our people at all, our audience at all.
We are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, and we are also on TuneIn Radio, which is kind of neat because you can find TuneIn Radio. The TuneIn Radio app is on Roku, and I bet you it's on Apple as well. And you can just type in Radulich and find all our Source Material or any one of our show's titles and actually find it on there and listen through your TV.
And they say we're hard to find, but honestly, you can type in any number of things and get any number of podcasts, but there's only one Radulich.
That's right.
Radulich. If you type that in, you will find me. It'll take you right to my home.
That's right. All right. You know how to find us now. The job is to go and like, subscribe, and give us some feedback. Give Mark some feedback, especially about tonight's episode. I mean, I don't know.
At Mark Radulich on Twitter. Please bring it the fuck on.
All right. I'm Jesse
man.
Starcher. I'm Jesse Starcher. That's Mark Radulich. That's Ronnie Adams.
No, it's not.
It is. It's him.
Redacted.
That's redacting McHamster Pants.
We're ending this podcast.
Tommy Wilson, stop Jenkins.
So there it is, ladies and gents, the finale of our two-part series covering Iron Fist, the Living Weapon. Woo-wee, was that an event. I will say in retrospect that it was nice to have read this story prior to watching the Netflix series, which I just finished up over the weekend, as it gave me a better grasp on some of the characters and setting, probably more than I expected it to. So what's next on the source material schedule? Well, right now, the only thing that is penciled in is a show suggested by previous guest Pat Mullen that involves the Legion of Superheroes, a team I know very little about, so I look forward to reading and discussing the Great Darkness Saga in mid-April. So until then, everybody, have a good one.
You wrong.
Listen, I don't care if we make fun of blacks, gays, or women, but I will not have you besmirching the chosen people on my network.
What is happening?
I'm just thinking about, what is the name of the shitty Chinese food place? Something Panda. I call it Fat Panda.
Panda Express.
Yeah. I feel like Pay is like half of a name of a dish at Panda Express. I'm gonna look it up.
Do that. Do that, please.
Please do that.
Let us know how to pronounce it while you're at it.
It's pronounced Dirty Jew, according to Jesse.
I don't. Listen.
Well, why not just go for it? Why not just say white power?
Heroes for Hyla!
Oh my gosh!
I actually just did the Heil Hitler.
Listen.
You wrong.
Just
very wrong.
You're very wrong.
We're all shut down. Nobody wants anything to do with us anymore.
Allergy sufferers? The name's Nigel. I'm a well-educated owl, therefore well-versed in the difference between what's wise and unwise. Talking like a pirate on a job interview. Unwise. Using new Zysol for 24-hour relief of your allergy symptoms. Quite wise. In a clinical study, 90% of allergy sufferers who use Zysol felt powerful 24-hour relief after just one day. So for continuous allergy relief, don't be unwise. Be wise all. Take new Zysol. Use as directed.